वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकधामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो विष्णुवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवशरी गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरो दीनतारिणम् हरे कृष्ण। So we touched upon the question of Navachanakya and then we try to uh, continue that discussion on how one should chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and what should be one's mood and consciousness while chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And especially if there are any disturbances or obstruction, how do we really perceive or get the mercy from the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra through the instructions of our acharyas. So, dear devotees, before one can dive into the realm of chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one should really understand uh, this process on a deeper level. Why one should understand this process on a deeper level is, see, unless and until we know the gist of everything, we cannot put the focus on it because the mind is always very intelligent also. Mind is very intelligent. It will tell various ways and means that this is not right, this is right. So it will always tell us or give us different situations and circumstances. Like for example, the moment you begin chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it will tell, oh, you have to do that, or you have to pay this bill, or you have to check that, you have to check this. You see what you have to cook today. You have to keep that outside. It's in the fridge only. So you should keep the vegetables outside. So that is the natural tendency of the mind, which will not allow us to focus on the Hare Krishna Mahamantra because the mind it doesn't like that. Why the mind doesn't like that is there are reasons for that also. For example, if you go, if the student, let's say the student doesn't like IIT training, and then in intermediate he has to be forced into that. He hates that, but somehow by the force of the parents, he's been kept in that state. So even though his parents are forcing him, but he, the son, doesn't want to aspire for that because his focus is somewhere else, right? So the son is like the mind, and then the father is like us, where we try to put the focus, but the child doesn't listen. So the child will always tell that, this is not for me, this is not for me. Likewise, the mind will also tell. Mind will also tell that, oh, I shouldn't get up in the morning, or I shouldn't do this, or I shouldn't aspire for that. It will always tell that because that is a psychological nature. That's why a lot of people do come to the process, but they also leave the process because the nature of the mind is very pick up. For example, especially in Kali Yuga, it's like this. In the previous yugas, it's not like this. That is why in this Kali Yuga, they have this special benediction of how this 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 chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a very simple process. But we need to understand here before we, as we discussed, right, before we dive into the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we should understand what are the obstructions and then how we can clear that. Because when we know the obstructions and then when we know the process of clearing, then then it becomes easy. Because another supportive agent to this mind is three modes of material nature. What are the three modes of material nature? Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. So these modes do also impact the mind. And then you remember a few days back I discussed about this. Three modes are transformed into what? Three modes are transformed into nine, because permutations and come. And the nine are transformed into 81. And then the 81 are transformed into unlimited. 81 into 81. How much it is? It's a big number. And then that is transformed into another. Why? Why these numbers are transformed in such a way? Because this is not just the three modes of material nature, dear devotees. This is actually working as per our swabhava, as per our nature. Because yesterday a person came to our home to fix something because this internet issue is happening. We wanted to add this internet on the, on some other line so that this issue is removed. Then he's trying to tell uh, our family members, they were telling, you should come to the temple if your time permits. Then he says that he has his own logic. He says that money is everything. Money is a Paramatma. So if you earn nicely money, then you will be happy in this world. So his notion is that what is he telling? If you earn money, then that is everything. Okay. So now that is also one of the nature of the mind. What is the nature of the mind? When the mind is fixed on something, it doesn't change. Because the mind is backed by what? The mind is backed by the false ego. Please try to understand. It's very important. As the mind is backed by the false ego doesn't allow us to change our perception. That's why if he learns an instrument, a musical instrument incorrectly, to teach that person learning that musical instrument correctly becomes more difficult than the person who doesn't know anything about that musical instrument. For example, if I do not know how to play the flute, then if I go to a teacher who can train me how to learn flute, then there ends the matter. It's easy because I don't know anything. But if I learned incorrectly, then what happens is he has to remove that and then he has to add on top of it. Because what is that? Removing the incorrect thing is what? Is our habits. Please try to understand. The jiva has these habits. These habits will not change that easily because we all carry some kind of baggage. We all have karmic reactions. We all carry baggages. We all carry baggages of our karma. And then not just through our baggages of our karma, the modes of material nature based on our emotions, based on our swabhava, based on our tendency, it will actually work us on a different way. For example, the my modes of material nature is different compared to your modes of material nature. Or somebody else modes of material nature is different compared to the other person's material nature. For example, a child modes of material nature is different compared to an adult. Even an adult, based on how he grown up, what kind of association he has taken all through his life, his modes of material nature will be different compared to the others. That means it's an unlimited permutations and combination. We cannot perceive that. So that's why the primary thing is to put focus on the mind. That's why our acharyas, they always tell us, if we concentrate on the mind, if we can perceive what our mind is telling, because we know what our mind is telling. And the moment we become honest with our heart, that if I, for example, if my mind is telling, see this, you see this person, he's not a good person. It will tell, because the natural tendency of the mind is to tell that only. So what is this? Why am I telling is, this is not just when we are chanting Hare Krishna for like half hour or 1 hour or 2 hours. We are not dealing about that. We are dealing about the entire day. So if we correct how we have to deal our entire day, then the natural tendency of chanting of Hare Krishna becomes natural. Because what are we trying to do? Because when I first came to the process of Krishna consciousness, I heard this from a pure devotee. What he told was, if you really want to chant Hare Krishna, you should see how you are perceiving the other 22 hours. That means if I am engaged in some nonsense in the other period, other than chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, that nonsense which we have done is actually impacted in our chanting. Because whatever we did, that is what we get during the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. For example, if I'm thinking about a person, or if, let's say if I'm let's give a vague example. For example, if I'm thinking about a woman, or if I'm thinking about how to break some regulation. I'm just giving an example. So if I begin thinking on that, if I begin contemplating on that, then what happens is, the moment if I begin chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, those things which I contemplated, they come into our heart. They come into our consciousness. When they come into our consciousness, what is happening, dear devotees, is the person who really aspires to chant the Hare Krishna mantra cannot aspire to, he cannot chant because those thoughts do dwell into our heart. So where we need to correct our mentality, not the mere how do I finish my rounds. Yes, finishing our rounds will happen when the mentality is corrected. So that we need to address. So what am I doing? What am I aspiring? What am I hearing? What am I reading? What am I doing in my rest of my time? That is the core primary thing which we need to address to actually chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra early in the morning. Now, for example, so devotees they tell me like this: "Oh Prabhu, I took initiation now. I have to chant my mala. I have to chant my rounds. What to do? I gave vow to my master, to my spiritual master. I gave a vow to him. What to do? I have to chant. It should not be like that, dear you. Should not be like that. How it should be is, you should be, the heart should be jubilant. Oh, I should get up in the morning. I should chant my rounds. It should be that way. Just like we took that example, right? The parent and the child. The child doesn't like IIT. For example, if the child is trained up by the father nicely, oh my dear son, if you do this and it is better for you, these things will, it's good for you. You'll settle in your life. Something like that, He establishes that relationship and then he tells him. And then the moment he understands that, he knows that, then he'll be fixed up in the process. Now, when the child becomes fixed up in that, then it becomes easy for him. I cannot force, for example, I cannot force my daughter or somebody else to no, you should sit and chant Hare Krishna. He says that I don't have the desire to chant, then I cannot force the other person. So what I should do is I should inspire the other person so that he gets motivated and then he chants Hare Krishna. One cannot force the other person. Please try to understand. The forcing will not work in one's life. See, I can't force my mind also. I should train my mind. That is why it is called as Manas Shiksha. One cannot force our acharyas, they don't say that, oh, you know. No, as part of the training, sometimes we force the mind, but continuously we don't force the mind. But continuously, what we try to do is we try to train our mind. Now, the mind will always tell, oh, I can't join the class every day. I can't hear every day. I can't do like this every day. Hmm? I can't hear or I can't chant my rounds. That's the nature of the mind. Mind will always tell. It is always there to tell. It will always pull us down. but we need to understand the importance of what we have received. Now, yesterday we discussed some important aspects of how to come out of sense gratification. But I was thinking after the session that if we know the greatness of the acharyas, if we know the greatness of their sacrifices, if we know the greatness of just giving their entire life to the mission of Srila Prabhupada or to the mission of this ISKCON, and we need to understand, if we understand what was the Srila Prabhupada's mood, what was the mood of his followers, what is the mood of the followers of Lord Chaitanya, if we understand that, then giving up these things becomes a easy process. Because we see them, we should always think like this, what is the reason that Srila Prabhupada gave everything of his life? He gave everything. What is the reason for that? Why is he telling that take this process sincerely, chant Hare Krishna sincerely? Why is he telling hear sincerely, read sincerely? Why is he telling do Shravana Kirtan nicely? When that thing becomes nicely, then the services becomes nicely. Why is he telling like this? What does he get? What does he get if we become a devotee? Right? Is that not completely on a selfless plan? Is he expecting anything from us? Is he expecting our this, that, so many other things? No. What are they expecting? They are expecting a pure heart. Because when the pure heart is there, that is what Krishna likes. Please try to understand. Very important. Because if we address the root, dear devotees, then what happens is everything else is impacted. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, you can hear me okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You guys can hear me okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
So the mood is what our acharyas wanted to give us. When the mind is rightly addressed, then everything else is managed here. Please try to understand this. The more we aspire for this, the more it is beneficial for us. This is what our teachers wanted to do. So to the point, when the mind is actually obstructing us, when the mind doesn't allow us to chant Hare Krishna, what is the medicine is? We need to see our acharyas. We need to turn towards them. Hare Prabhupada gave me so much. The spiritual master gave me so much. Hare, how can I disobey their words? Hare, he's my father. They are the real well-wishers. Even our biological father or our biological mother, they did not give us this. Because it is not that we are putting them down. They don't know. If they are devotees, then that's well and good. But if they are not, then they don't know. It's only due to lack of awareness. It's not that they're not good or something like that. But even our biological father and mother, they couldn't give what is a real happiness. They told us how to become good person. They told us how to become an engineer. They helped us to become an engineer or a doctor or this or that, right? But they couldn't address our heart. Now these personalities, they're coming and they're addressing my heart. No, for them, let me chant Hare Krishna. For their happiness, let me do this. Let me surrender to their words. Let me submit to them. When this consciousness is developing, dear devotees, slowly, mind will become our friend. That's the natural state. Just see here, devotees. Arjuna, he tells in Bhagavad Gita that I cannot control this wind. I can control the wind, but I can't control the mind. Krishna says that is true. But when you work according to my instructions, I will take care of this. Mahamanusmara Yajjacha. That means wherever you go, you are at office. Why don't you think and work for Krishna? Is it difficult? No, it is not difficult. Once you come back from the office, do hear our discussion, chant few rounds, then do some service, offer bhoga to the Lord, So at every moment, when we are trying to do this, what is happening is slowly, without our endeavor, we are remembering the Acharyas and the Lord. We are remembering them. So what do we tell them? We don't have to tell the mind because that is what we are thinking always. Now the mind will tell us, oh, do this, do that. But when our focus is on the root, when our focus, Vyavasatmika buddhi reke hai kurundu. When our focus is on the root, then the other things are not disturbed. For example, if a person, remember our spiritual master giving this very beautiful example. He says, if a person goes to IAS, if a person prepares for IAS exam, or he might have so many issues, so many concerns at the home, so many obstructions. But he's firmly fixed up. I have to study. I have to crack this IAS. Then what he does? Does he go to cinema halls? Does he go to malls? Does he go to restaurants here and there? Unnecessarily wasting his time? Does he do that? He doesn't do that. What he does, he focuses on his IAS. And then he studies 16 hours, 18 hours every day. And then he cracks the exam. Then he becomes an IAS officer. And then he tells his like story. No, this is what I did. So that might be on a material plane, but his focus is on one thing. What his focus is on? What his focus is? Vyavasayatmika buddhi. That means one-pointed focus. What is that one-pointed focus? I need to firmly fix my consciousness on this. That is what Krishna is telling Arjuna also. Mamanusmara yuddhacha. That dear devotees, are battlefield is a life and death situation. Krishna is telling, not telling. Krishna is assuring. Maya Shakta Manapartha Yum Junjum Mada Shasham Swayam Shamagrahamita Gnashasi Tatsrum. Krishna is telling, develop asakti on me. Right? So how does one develop asakti on the Lord? By the process of Shavana. And from where we should hear? We should hear from pure souls. We shouldn't hear from anyone else. We should be very careful with what we are, with whom we are hearing also. So when that is taken care, dear devotees, and through that taking care, Krishna is what is he telling? When asakti is developed, when interest is developed on a particular person through the process of Shavana, because interest only comes through Shavana. When the interest is developed through the process of Shavana, what happens is, whatever they say, those we follow. Because interest is na unke upar. We have interest on him. The moment we have interest on him, we will do whatever he says. Then Krishna says, Mahamanusmara Yuddhasa. That means even during battlefield, you should remember me. Are in the battlefield, we can remember, can't we remember Krishna while we are driving the car? Can't we remember the Lord while we are working? We can. We can do that. Are through small things which we see, we can remember the Lord actually. When you see the sky is blue, you should remember the Lord. Not that when you see the Lord, you remember sky. This is what? This is reverse. This is called as out to in. What is out to in? Not this, not this, not this, not this, and then you go to the root. But the process of devotion is, or the process of bhakti is, they directly establish a relationship. They directly give that relationship. And whoever is inquisitive to take that relationship, just like Lord has kept us, He has given us a father and a mother. Is that not a relationship? Didn't we accept them? We accepted them. Right? As part of relationship, we accepted. Likewise, Krishna is giving another higher relationship now. Through the Acharyas, he is giving himself. He is giving association of his pure devotees. Through that, what is happening to us, slowly our consciousness is uplifted. So the moment we see something, we try to remember the Lord, and that comes naturally. So that's how we should contemplate on that. So now winter is coming, especially in America, all the leaves will fall off. Now everyone will go and take the pictures. You see the fall colors. But it's actually the tree is going through a difficult state. Now we can say tree doesn't have consciousness, but it has little consciousness. That means it goes through little difficulty. So the moment we see that, we should understand, you see, I am also like that only, na. One day I have to also fall apart from this body. I might think that this body will survive for more and more longer period of time. But one day I have to also fall, just like the leaves are falling. Because my body is also deteriorating. You should think that means after thinking that what you understand, oh then this material world is a temporary place. Okay, that is perfect. If it is temporary, then what is permanent? That question should come. Oh, okay, this is material world is temporary. What is permanent then? Where do I go if it is permanent? How do I go there? You need to train up your mind. How do I train up the mind? Through a process of Shravana. When the mind is deviating, you should tell what our acharyas have done. That is why the more we hear, what happens is you get that strength. You get the strength to combat the mind difficulties. You're all grown up. It's easy. Why it is not? Why it is? When it is easy, when we are completely dependent. When we take complete ashraya, full shelter. For example, this is a beautiful instance. Spiritual master always tells on this. What is this beautiful instance is, for example, if we feel that Krishna consciousness is everything for us, that is the life and soul for us, for that person, no matter in which situation he's been kept, he does this only. He does this because he understood that without this there is nothing. But if a person doesn't understand that, if a person does so many other things, shelter nahi hai either. He doesn't have shelter here, but he does so many other things. Then what happens here? What is his focus will not be concentrated here because his focus is diluted. Dilute focus will not allow us to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But we just finish the rounds. Finishing rounds, we don't want finishing the rounds. I always think about this. I don't want just to finish the rounds. I want to, we should go deeper into the holy names. These beautiful names. Why don't we hear? Why don't we hear, attend? Why don't we sit and why don't we chant our rounds? Why don't we sit in a quiet place? What is that quiet place? Early in the morning. There is a lot of disturbance. Obviously, disturbance will be there because obviously, when the period of Rajoguna happens, what is the period of Rajoguna? Or is now, Sattoguna time is also taken away in America. That children have to be sent to school at 7. That's actually Sattoguna time. Because they feel that, oh, then they study early in the morning, then they will be very vibrant. What are they doing? They are trying to extend the Rajoguna time. Because that is what all the government wants. No, everyone should study nicely. Everyone should become big personalities because that will help our country. That help America or help India. What are they trying to do? They are trying to extend the time of Rajoguna because they are taking away the Sattoguna time. This modes of material nature is everywhere, dear devotees. It is there in the grass, it is there in the subtle elements also. Wherever you go, these modes are only visible. So what are they trying to do? They are trying to take away the Sattoguna time. So that means, for example, if the parents have to send the children at 7 or 7:30, at what time they have to go to the kitchen? At least 6, 5:45. What is the time? That time is actually the time of practicing Krishna consciousness. But what's happening? The slaughterhouse is not just impacting the children, but it is impacting the parents also. Their time also. Their energy also. Oh, sorry if I use the term slaughterhouse here. Because so it is. It is killing. It is killing the sattva. It is doing slaughter. That's why I said. So what happens is you have to go to the kitchen at 5:45. If you have to make boga and then offer to the Lord and then send that prasad to your children. Right? And then what happens the moment you begin chanting Hare Krishna at 10:30, 11 in the morning? Then what is happening, dear devotees? Our Rajoguna is deepened. Because by the time you'll be hungry and then you'll honor prasad. And then after eating prasad, what happens? If you're at home, you'll be sleepy. Is that not a problem? It is a problem. When we are sleepy and drowsy, can we chant Hare Krishna? We cannot chant Hare Krishna. Can we really establish a deeper relationship? We cannot establish a deeper relationship. So these are all the things. So what we need to aspire is, we need to aspire this. We need to fix up our time. We need to do that what best can be done. At least, try to get up early in the morning, chant few rounds. We should aspire for that. Because our mind is it's very difficult. That's why Krishna says the solution is only one thing, you develop Ashakti on me. So develop Ashakti on our acharyas, their words, their life, their means, their everything. If we develop Ashakti on that, then developing Ashakti on the Supreme Lord will happen, will eventually happen. Now this we need to pursue more. So whenever the obstructions are coming, the mind will always show obstruction. Even if a sadhaka practicing for 10 years, 15 years, the mind will show obstructions. But the intelligence has to be very thorough. We should always take shelter of the spiritual master and the acharyas. When the intelligence is in that mood, is in that state, this state is transcendental devotees. It's not even goodness. We should aspire for that state. When we do in that state, then what happens when little deviations or disturbances of the mind, we can easily catch it. We can easily catch and then come to our natural state. So this we should practically practice this. It's good. It's good we are actually observing that there are obstructions. Now we should also now come out of those obstructions. This is how we need to come out of. So didn't our acharyas had this mind of mind? They also have. Now how did they come out of it? They simply submitted themselves. Complete surrender. Through that surrender, what happens? Oh, my dear Lord, I belong to you. You do whatever you want with me. I just want to do this. Please help me. What are we doing through that? We are depending. Through the dependency, what is happening? The heart is opening, dear devotees. That's how the relationship is established. For example, if a person is married, it's a love marriage. Then if you go and ask that person, oh, how did all this begin? How did you met her? What happened? Who proposed whom? Who proposed whom? All of these things you're asking. Then that person will become, it's like he becomes vibrant. Just by asking that question, his face becomes vibrant. Then he says, oh, sit. I will tell you, I'll explain you. You have time? Yes, I have 15 minutes. I'll explain everything. And what happens? He tells his own, heartfelt sharings. No, for him, that is heartfelt sharings. That might be on a material plane, but for him, it's heart and heart for him. Why am I telling this is, even though it's on a material plane, he invested time and his energy. Please try to understand. That's why he doesn't forget that. Because he kept his complete focus on that. Then he tells, oh, this is how I came, this is how I was observing her, and then I proposed this is how, and then she accepted. There's some reasons, right? Does he forget that? No, he doesn't forget that. Because that's there in the heart. Likewise, dear devotees, are just to get some gratification through the senses, or just to have some material relationship, person is aspiring, is remembering everything. Please understand, we are trying to establish an eternal relationship, not the relationship of this body, not this relationship for like some time, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. No, it's an eternal relationship. Pastor Srila Prabhupada says, I'm your eternal well-wisher. What is that eternal well-wisher? That means I'm your well-wisher always. And he is assuring that my soldiers, they're always there with you. As an assurance. That assurance is what? Not for this life, life after life. No, who will get that kind of an assurance? Can the wife will give that kind of assurance? Does insurance companies will give that kind of assurance? They give insurance until we leave this body. Now, who is giving insurance after that? Now we can say, I do not see that. If we do not see that, that doesn't mean that there is no existence. Now I can't see air. Doesn't mean that air is not there. Now I'm in a closed room. If I say there is no sky, will that work? Because I'm not seeing sky right now. Because I'm just seeing I'm seeing the ceiling. If I go outside the home, then I'll be able to see the sky. If now I don't see that, that doesn't mean that sky is not there. Likewise, the moment I leave this body, that doesn't mean that I will not be there. I will continue to be there. That is what the Lord is telling in Gita. That is what our acharyas are continuously repeating. That's how they led their life. And we need to understand the gravity. What is the gravity is, we are not trying to superficially come out of the problems of the mind temporarily for a momentary or a momentary. No, no, no. We want to come out of this completely. It's a shackle. The person is coming out of the jail for one day and then again going in, again coming out for one day, again going in. Is that like really coming out from the jail? No, again he has to go. For example, if a person has some sensors, censored on his legs, and then he's under vigilance of the jail. No, he cannot cross that vicinity. If he crosses that vicinity, that sensor will beep, indicating that he should go back, or indicating the authorities that this person went out. It's like that. Our process, if we do not understand thoroughly, that's why half baked is not good. When you cook the food, you should cook it fully. Half baked you cannot eat. Should cook fully. Then it is good for you and for your health. Likewise, when we know the truth completely, when we digest the truth completely, then what happens? Then we will know how to come out of it. That's how the process of Shravana will really help us. We cannot practice this for like 1 week or 2 weeks and then leave this. And then again coming after 1 week, 2 weeks, again leaving it. Again doing some sense gratification, again coming after 1 month, again practicing this. No. व्यवसायत्मिका बुद्धि एके है कुरुना. We should be very thorough with this mind. We should be very strict with our dealings. This we need to aspire. I will continue this tomorrow also. And we'll see how we can actually combat this mind, what our acharyas are telling. How when we take deeper shelter on their words, we can really come out of this. That how when we establish relationship with them, we can really aspire this truth more and more. That we will discuss tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Anyone has any questions would like to add? Now, Chanakya, is that okay? We will continue
Hare
this
Krishna, Prabhuji.
tomorrow. Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji. Really, when I am thinking about the Krishna, you said like the tips that we not to deviate from the Krishna consciousness, and I believe that making partial things won't help us to get into the Krishna consciousness completely. We need to inculcate it one as a as a daily part of our life, and how we eat, how we sleep. More than those things, Krishna consciousness and chanting Hare Krishna mantra is much more important when we are in the Krishna consciousness. And then yesterday class also you mentioned like when we are in the Krishna consciousness, We should not think about the materialistic things and the materialistic relationships. If we think much more about those, definitely we will get such kind of a life in next life. So being a Krishna consciousness, we need to think about either Krishna or chanting Hare Krishna mantra. That the two things we need to follow. Other than this, nothing is important for us. Yeah, I understood that, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna
Oh,
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all devotees, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Prabhuji,
Hare
this is one, something was brought to my attention last night.
uh-huh.
I was in a class and the devotee who was given a class was saying that Srila Prabhupada make this process so easy for her. He painstakingly went through so much to translate Gita and to make this process understandable for even the smallest child who wants to read. So I think we owe him at least that much to practice and give him that satisfaction that he did something good for the world at large. Just wanted to share that probably. Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Shilas Prabhu, please take over the call.
Thank you so
Continue,
much.
Bhajan. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the wonderful class and reminding us why it's very important to take Krishna consciousness seriously and have the mindset of wanting to do, not being forced to do. Thank you for the wonderful message, Prabhuji. Let's sing a bhajan to